Well, that's good.
Yes. Thank
And
you.
then you needed to share the screen, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
you should
I
be
can
able
do
to
that.
now.
Thank
And
you.
Nikki, can I also share my screen? I'm going to be on the agenda and need to share. Thank
Of
you.
course, yes, you should be able to too. Now.
Okay, thank you.
Can you put up the agenda, Nick?
Oh, no, she's not, I will,
Okay,
I can do that.
great. She leave us?
No, she's here.
I'm still here.
Okay, thank you. Please
It
don't
just
leave
has
us.
John's picture in front of her.
You look so
Yeah,
much like
I'm just John.
Is MG Michael Green? Anybody
Yes.
know?
Yes, it is.
Oh, good. Hey, Joe?
Yeah, there it is. No, it is not.
Okay.
Those are the notes. But the agenda is housekeeper.
Yeah.
There it is, there it is, there it is.
Okay, so the agenda, you can go ahead.
Okay, so what is, I can't read it for you. What's the first agenda?
Call to order, additions or deletions.
Okay, do we have any additions or deletions? I'm hearing none, seeing none. I assume we do not. And the next is citizens' comments. Suzie, or anybody else out there care to comment on anything that we are about to discuss this evening? I guess not. Old business. Update from the Housing Working Group. Joe, I guess that's you. Why don't you take it from here?
Yes. So could you stop sharing so I can share, please?
Can we what?
How's that?
She wants to share.
Are you all set, Joe?
Yes. So I wanted to give you a preview of what's going to happen next week. So we are launching the Lease to Locals program next week. And I wanted to give you a preview of what's going to happen when people come to the website. And we will be announcing this on the town website, in Vermont Standard, on Listserv, and kind of do a coordinated launch. So can you see my page?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been working really hard with Placemate to make all of what they do for other towns work with Woodstock. So you'll go to a page within their website that looks like this. It explains what Lease to Locals is and how the program works. And then there's 5 steps that somebody who is interested needs to go through, and those are all explained. The incentive amounts are explained, and then there's more frequently asked questions. What will happen once somebody gets in touch with Lease to Locals is they'll take them through these 5 steps. They'll be talking to somebody called Tamaya, who'll take them through everything, make sure they understand what the program is. They'll also help secure tenants. So in addition to the property owner being able to rent, this is somewhere where tenants who need somewhere can also go to create a renter profile. See at the top, they can create a renter profile. There you go. So people who are looking can be on a list as well, and then there can be if there are sufficient people, there can be a little bit of a matching service so that a new landlord can get some support in finding their renter. And I just wanted to be here in case you had any questions.
Are there any questions? Wait a minute. Let's ask for EDC members first. Any questions from the EDC? Okay,
So my question is,
hit you on the microphone.
do people,
Wait a minute. Wait.
My question is, every time you hear about an apartment for rent, it's always no pets. and lots of people have pets, and, you know, are you allowing people to have, can this program say people are allowed to have pets? Because,
Flexibility of allowing.
yeah,
So the choice of the tenant is entirely up to the landlord, and the conditions that the landlord puts on, so long as they don't mess up the fair housing laws of Vermont, they can do that. So there is no law that says you have to allow a dog. It's entirely up to the property owner.
Thank you. Any other questions from anybody?
Marion.
Marion.
Marion?
Jill, I apologize if you've already talked about this. Do you want to talk a little bit about how, what the plan is to get the word out about the program? Because I think that's going to be critical.
Sure. Most things will be happening on the 9th. So we'll be in listserv, we'll be in the Vermont Standard. They've broken the story and then I'll do a press release. We'll be on the town website, you know, on the homepage where there's those little posts. We'll be on Woodstock, Vermont that Nikki does, so that people who've asked for an email get an email. There'll also be a postcard mailing to property owners, and then we'll just keep doing listserv.
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Marion? Yeah?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Larry, do I see your hand up? No.
I just want to say thank you for putting this together. As somebody who rents and is wanting to help out and get people, you know, and share, and it's a wonderful program. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's all ready to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need a trial person to go through and make sure that it would work. We need to just make sure that all the theory works now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I'm going to be the right one because we'll see if I tick all the boxes, but I have two people coming from Montvert, and I don't fit in the Thompson program, so we'll see if
this one works.
Yeah.
It'll be good to work it through, Deb. That would be helpful to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Certainly going to be helpful to Montverde. It really is.
Yeah, I'm excited for them to come in.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Any other questions? Okay. So the next item is, 1 second,
Is
please.
the update from the tourism temporary working groups.
Update from the Tourism Temporary Working Group.
So we can go down from top to bottom here. It's, if everyone remembers, it's the managing the impacts of tourism that we started with the survey last fall and then the community meeting. And so we've got our groups, at least a couple EDC members and community members assigned. And if we want to start with the food, we can just give a brief update.
Sure, I can do that if you like. I should first start off by saying that there are a couple of community members who have reached out to want to join the group, and at some point that may be something that would work. But right now, I've been working with Sam, my daughter Sam, and Stuart Matthews, and I can give you an idea of what is happening. Now, I think it's important to mention that the purpose of this group is to mitigate the sufferings of the past of trying to feed our tourist population and not being able to. That's the primary focus of where we're at right now. So some of the things that are happening is, for example, Sante Restaurant, I have been informed, is planning on opening through the weekends, through the summer and the fall this year. I think they opened sporadically last year, but this year I guess they're committed to an alternative menu and different items that are more lunch oriented. So that's good news. The Montverde Cafe is launching a food, or not a food, but a coffee trailer that I signed a lease for the property that was formerly Pie Restaurant across the street from the cafe. And we now have a trailer being built for us to our specs in Florida. They'll be ready in a few weeks or maybe even sooner. We're gonna place it there and offer coffee and pastries and grab and go sandwiches and a few other items during the high traffic times. And there'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Stuart and I are working on trying to develop Mechanic Street. We've given it a name like Mechanic Street Place or Mechanic Street Market. We've talked with different people about, well, I've met with Casella trying to consolidate the trash situation for all the stores that go. What we're looking for is setting up a food venue back there, and the major stumbling blocks would be parking. I know Stuart has talked with the Historical Society and tried to get something managed there. I don't think he was very successful with that, not initially anyway. Another option is I've been speaking with the village and the town about specifically identifying a section of Pleasant Street from, for example, the tip of Tribal Park over to Eric Nesbitt's antique store. There are 8 spots there. Well, there's room for 8 spots, but they've never been identified and they've never been counted. There's a small sign there that says free parking. Now, for example, this weekend, there was the glad rag sale at the Masonic Temple, and those spots, well, that whole side of the street was used. But I don't think tourists understand that that's available because it's never been bought as parking spots. In other words, those white lines that say, hey, this is a parking spot. And the only sign there really is this small 4x6 sign that says free parking. So I've been, that area has never been counted of what's available as parking spots in the village. So I've been speaking with the trustee and town manager, town planner about what all they really has to be done is identify those spots as parking spots. Just draw the lines. Costs us a little bit of paint. And then we've got 8 additional parking spots. That would probably help, I hope, mitigate, maybe, possibly losing some spots on Mechanic Street that we can use for a food venue. And the long-term plan is having a food venue there. And if you want to dream on top of dreams, some type of maybe Italian restaurant that's on Central Street, but has a rear entrance to the restaurant, and have maybe some kind of patio thing out back, another food venue there probably, along with Au Comptoir, that great little bar that's on Mechanic Street, that's doing a great job. That would complement the whole thing. So that's something else we're working on. I personally think that if we can get those parking spots identified and used, and people park up there and have to walk back into the center of town, they're gonna go by a couple of restaurants that they normally wouldn't if they parked uptown. They'd have to go out by Malaza. And if we can get those parking spots, I plan on going and talking to David and say, what do you think? People are gonna walk by, maybe you can grab the fish and just swim by. That's an option. And the coffee shop will have more people coming by. So, those are some of the things. I hope to get initiated and actually working by the summer. That's the food work.
And I'm also on, I'm not listed in this group, but I am on the food working group. And what we kind of decided was that Joe was gonna work inside the village, and then I'm working on options at, or talking to the organizers at East End Park, because that's obviously the, you know, that's a huge opportunity there, and it really helps spread things out. So I've talked to Ben Jervy, who's the owner of the space with the picnic tables, and they've got some things in mind, namely coming up at the end of the summer, some little stalls and whatnot for artisans and food purveyors, and also talking to Megan Pollock, who is on the East End Park planning group. So things are in the works. Obviously, this is the early end of things, but East End Park, huge piece of, you know, that was just that's kind of the spot.
Personally, I'm feeling,
Hey Ben,
I'm sorry,
Ben,
Ben?
you wanna chat?
Oh,
personally,
Okay, sorry, I don't want to put you on the spot, but Ben Jervy, he's one of the owners of the
Go ahead, Ben.
the
Fire away.
piece of land over there.
oh, I don't need to take the stage or anything. But I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has. I'm also just juggling making dinner for my kids at the moment. So sorry.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Ben.
Anybody have any questions for me, Greta, or Ben?
Okay.
Okay, I mean, yeah,
Yes, isn't that exciting?
I hope a lot of people do.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right,
Yep.
sure.
Quick
I
comment.
feel, personally, I feel a little bit more confident or about our food vending or food menu situation this year than I have in past years. If, you know, if things work out, we're gonna do a better job of it than we've been in the past.
Okay, the next one is crowds for, and that's Deborah.
Deborah, talk about crowds.
Let's talk about crowds. So we haven't met as a group. Scott, who is on the call, who's new to the area, did get in touch with me through I think it was John. And so we haven't met yet. And so we definitely need to get that group together, and it's just been a busy time. But also I think Susie's on the group too. Yes, Susie? Well, we can all meet up. But I've been collecting data to start the conversation. That's much more about kind of the laws of traffic, to try to figure out, to bring to the group, to have some, you know, kind of chapter and verse of what is legal and what isn't legal to do as far as crosswalks and how it functions in other towns that is similar to this, because that's one of the main things that we've kind of zeroed in on, is how do we control traffic during those couple of times of year where if people are crossing the street constantly, the traffic never goes, and we need to figure that out. I also agree with what Greta said. I just think East End Park is going to become a real haven of activity and an answer to a lot of what's going on, both for food and for crowds, and hopefully other things as well. So I think, you know, we need to talk a little bit about that, to look into the buses, and obviously, Ben, I would love to have a conversation about that, because I'm not sure that the answer to the buses are moving them down there when other things are going on. That may just kind of, again, create a whole different problem just on the other end of town. So, but it's something to discuss. So I'd be interested to kind of look at all of those things. So that's where I am right now, is just a kind of data collection as far as that's concerned. Scott, do you have anything that you want to add? I mean, you're just starting here, and you were interested in becoming part of the group. So I didn't know if you had anything that you wanted to add to it, or Susie, if you wanted to add to it prior to us all meeting.
Scott,
If it's this, Scott, I think I actually signed up for the other group. I think I signed up for information services. I think there was another Scott on last month's call.
Yeah, I think it was Scott Smith.
Yes,
Oh, there you
okay.
go. Good night.
Well,
two
Scott, if you have
spots.
any thoughts.
So I don't have any suggestions here, but but
Okay.
thank you for asking.
Well, there you go. And yes,
So-
go ahead.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, Suze.
No, Deborah's saying go ahead.
All right,
No,
go
I
ahead.
wanted to say, Scott, did you have anything you wanted to finish up with that, or you know, he's put himself on mute. Okay. Yeah, Susie.
Yeah, so I sent a whole thing to John because, did you get it? Did you get that?
No.
Okay, I'll, because I mean, I didn't even know that there was, this group was even, this is why I came to figure out why this group wasn't meeting. But yeah, no, I've done some work on that.
Well, I think we should compare some notes of what I've collected and you've collected. I think I have your number, Susie. Let me just give you a call and I could give you my email and just send it my way and we can start our conversations.
Okay, parking and bathrooms is Larry and Todd. Todd's not here tonight, but maybe Larry has something to say.
Yeah, Todd and I have met a couple of times, doing some brainstorming. Jeff Kahn has been added to our group. And Jeff and I met for about an hour and a half the other day. So we're getting a lot of different ideas. We also, you may have seen in the listserv that we solicited ideas from the public, and we received maybe a dozen responses that were, you know, good. There's good input there. I don't know, this isn't probably the time to go through some of the things we're toying with, but we do have several things.
Larry, if you want to touch on a couple of things you think are, you know, kind of important, you can do that.
First of all, we want to identify when the problem is. It's not absolutely clear. You know, there's sort of sweeping generalizations of summertime foliage, whatever, but whether it's weekdays, and whether it's weekends, whether it's specific weeks in foliage, and of course with special events. So we just want to identify that. And one of the things that actually Jeff is really keen on is to get some really good maps. We went through all the places that there are to park that are free in the town, and it's actually fairly extraordinary. Actually, Joe, you just identified 8 more that I didn't even know about.
Nobody knows about them.
What's that?
Nobody knows about them. That's the issue.
Yeah, well, there are a number of other ones. John asked us to prioritize for the, I guess, in my words, what's actually feasible and doable rather than pie in the sky, like. So we're trying to come up with some ideas. I guess the most expensive one right now we're thinking of is maybe resurrecting that trolley that we used to have years ago. You probably remember that, Joe, and having it at specific times of the year, going from some of the places that we can identify, obviously East End, maybe the Ottaquechee Health Center parking lot on weekends, some of the churches, whatever. In terms of toilets, it's hard. Signage is key. We do have perfectly good toilets downtown. People don't seem to know it. But then trying to do something East End Park, again, we're getting into the feasible part. It's very expensive. I actually contacted. I mean, we can, you know, we can do porta potties, but I contacted a company. Oh, where are they? They're in nearby, but in New York State, that, you know, do those sort of fancy porta potties that you see at weddings and whatever, just to see if it was feasible. And they have not come back with a price, but it looked like it was going to be pretty expensive. In other words, trying to do something that was a little more classy than 3 or 4 porta potties. But so that's the type of thing we're looking at. What else? Yeah, that's what
Well,
we've
it
been.
sounds like guys have got a real good bite into it. That's great. Thanks, Larry.
The one thing I noted, as we go through this, there's an awful lot of overlap in these groups, in terms of what answers we can come up with. So I just, again, encourage everybody on different groups to, contact, the other groups to, as you bump into things. You said a couple of things that are definitely, have to do with parking, just, a few minutes ago, that I didn't even know about. So anyway,
Yeah,
let's
that's a
cross,
great-
let's
that's a great
cross-pollinate
suggestion.
as best we can.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion, Larry. Thanks. The next is.
I wanted to,
What? Go ahead.
I wanted to ask a question,
Go ahead.
or something I wanted to bring up with crowds, but it really is the overlap with parking, with what's going to go on at the Windsor courthouse is moving to our town
Right.
for a couple of years, right? And that should be starting in the fall, I believe, while they redo the courthouse in Windsor. So what that's going to mean is that we're going to have a lot of people coming there for all sorts of small trials and large trials. It's going to be a huge influx of people. It's going to be people, it could be a different type of person coming through the town as well. As far as, if there's, all the types of trials, whether it's drugs or whatever, is going to be coming through our town. And I'm concerned about the parking for that and what that's going to do around the green. And I've been trying to get some answers from the Windsor Courthouse, trying to get some numbers of what it is that we're about, what is the influx, and nobody's been able to give me the answers on that yet. But I think, Larry, that might be something that we should.
I think, yeah, on that particular subject, I think there was discussion. Was it here or at a meeting that the Windsor Courthouse was actually going to lease some of the parking spots in town for a certain amount of money. Definitely the ones behind the courthouse and some
Right.
others. So,
But if they lease it, that's still taking,
yeah, you're right.
It's an addition. Whatever
right.
it is, it's an addition.
Well, it's not taking any away from the courthouse, behind the courthouse, because that is specifically identified, I think. But you're right about maybe around the green or other spots. What do you think, Larry?
Well, having just been through a jury draw, there's can be 50 or 60 people at a jury draw. I mean, it's good at for a couple of days during the beginning and ending of each session. Wow, that could be chaos.
Yeah,
It's
I couldn't agree with you
significant.
more.
And so I was wondering if there's a way that we could look at parking lots and that may be available at different times, and that there may be a bus that needs to happen. I don't know. I'm just saying it's, I can't get the numbers yet, but it feels like it's a crowd issue and a parking issue.
You know what, my suggestion might be, get a hold of the police chief. Talk to Joe Swanson and see if he has any input or any ideas or any suggestions or any more knowledge than we do about what's being planned regarding that. Yes, Beth.
Well, this has been discussed for a significant amount of time at the trustees meeting, I think in March, if not April. And people are kind of working at the same purpose, only multiple people, just what you said, Deb. So I think the best thing to do would be get in touch with Seton, who has all of the information about how many spaces they're renting, they've had multiple discussions with the courthouse and have proposed for the courthouse to buy X amount of parking spaces. I'm sure it's in the minutes, but it's also an ongoing discussion with the parking committee and the trustees.
So do you think I'm worried about something that I shouldn't be worried about when it comes to?
Well, I think I think the trustees have
handled it.
I think she's suggesting probably there are answers out there to questions you may have, and the trustees may have the answers.
Awesome.
Or,
Thank you, Beth.
or the police department.
Yes.
Yeah. Also going to trials by Zoom. They said that. So there's not as many, there's not gonna be as many, like, trials that don't need a jury, they can be done by Zoom.
There you go. So let's, I think rather than us trying to speculate and hang our hats on some rumors that we're hearing, just get hold of Seton. She has the answers, and Joe, I'm sure Joe must know what's going on. Joe Swanson, the police chief.
Yeah, probably get more answers than I'm getting from Windsor. So thank you.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Larry, I'll get in touch as well.
Right. Okay, traffic and safety. That's Michael, who's not here, John, who's not here. So
I am here, but we haven't been able to meet yet, so we don't have much of a readout. But as soon as John gets back to town, I'm looking forward to setting something up with him, and hopefully with the police chief or whomever on the town side. Because again, I think we're going to run into this with some of our solutions, and we discussed this when we outlined it, that a lot of it is going to be required of either the trustees or the police or others in their input. But yeah, when John gets back, we can pick that conversation up.
Great, thanks, Michael. Information services, Marion.
Yeah, so I will take total responsibility. We have not met. It's all my fault. Scott and I have been in touch by email. I recruited Scott, Deb. I got him. And I have one other volunteer from town and then Beth. And so I've just emailed everybody to try to schedule a meeting. So I'm embarrassed to say we have not gotten started. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I'm sure you'll have more to say at the next meeting. Proposed responsibility of each group, recruit interested community members, prioritize the proposed ideas according to 3 criteria: ease of execution, cost, if any, value to 3 constituents, residents, visitors, and merchants. Investigate the most promising idea in greater detail. For instance, cost estimate, implementation plan, including who's responsible for what. That's a good one. Prioritize if necessary, and present recommendations in priority order to the EDC. Thank you for that.
Okay, so
Proposed schedule, recruit interest community members in April, which was last year. And as far as the food thing is concerned, as I identified earlier, Sam's gonna work with me, Stuart, and maybe one other community member who I haven't yet had the opportunity to get back to. But that is the status of the food program. Anybody else want to jump in on that? They can.
I think the important thing is this is the goal for the next month, right?
Yeah.
Expand list.
The goal for the month of April, expand the list of ideas and prioritize the ideas. So if you can do that, and then come back with them on the next meeting, that would be great. I can't read that good, or you can?
All right, so let's see here. Last bit of old business is funding for downtown beautification, lighting, flowers, proposed in January by the chamber. So,
Well, I think what that means is we had promised the chamber that we would fund for their flowers. I think was sale. What else, Beth?
Oh, the lights,
And
the light flowers and the liners for the baskets.
Yeah. So, I think we have, is there a dollar amount affixed to that?
yeah, so it says the total budget for the project, which you are requesting EDC support, is 15,000, but Beth, the amount that you're requesting us approve tonight is 11,500.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have to vote on that, but I spoke with John this morning, and I mentioned to him how we had discussed at length over the winter, making sure that Teagle's Landing is maintained properly. And it really wasn't last year, and it hasn't been for the last couple of years. So, as I mentioned at the last meeting, or maybe the meeting before, I spoke with Cy Benoit, who is probably, in my opinion, the best of the best when it comes to that sort of stuff. has offered to maintain Teagle's Landing at its peak of beauty, if you want to use those words, the best possible foot forward for any visitor that comes into town, and I'm sure he would, for $500 for the season. In other words, from starting now until fall and including fall. So, you know, I said to John, we did talk about it and we thought it was a good idea, but for some reason it wasn't in the budget, and it got skipped for, you know, and the reason I can't think of. We really, really should do this, and he totally agreed. So again, we'll either attach it to what Beth wants, or we can vote on it separately. It'd be $500 to maintain. Oh, first of all, going in and getting it in shape, getting it to a place that it really looks great, and then keeping it like that for the rest of the year. But we all, you know, last year, Stuart, John, and I volunteered to pay for it, and somehow the bookkeeping was kind of loose between the three of us, and we still owe them about $100 from last year. So I would propose that we make a grant for $600, take care of what we owe for last year, and pay for the $500 for this season. So I'm not sure whether we should attach it to Beth's
I think two separate.
grant proposal. Separate. So,
Marion has a question.
yes, Marion, go ahead.
So am I remembering correctly? Is this basically the 11,500 that we talked about and conditionally approved, but we said was going to come out of a different budget? Is that what we're talking about here? And is this that same budget, or is this I'm a little confused about
Which budget it comes out of?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we had talked about sort of, we had made it conditional, or sort of like, because we were going to finance it in a different manner, and I forget the details, but I'm trying to.
So do I. I don't remember that
Yeah,
discussion.
Beth can weigh in on the details.
Go ahead.
The reason it's still hanging out here
Yeah.
is because I've got to think.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to come out of Joe and Stuart's beautification budget.
Yeah.
As opposed to the community grant budget.
Right.
So you voted on the community grants and those were all approved, but the 11,500 has, you know, we've been taking it with good faith. We're gonna have plants and just waiting for you.
It's gonna be coming out of, it's gonna be coming from the same source. It's just was split up for some reason.
It's coming out of, how many priorities are there? 5?
Yeah.
So it's coming out of a different priority than the community grants. It's coming out of downtown beautification.
Beautification, it is. That's right. In addition to the $600 for Teagle's Landing. So there was a two. Did that answer your question, Marion?
I'm just trying to remember how this all fits into our overall financial picture in terms of, you know, what we've spent and what we have remaining. And I know that we sort of knew that we were going to spend this money. We talked, if this is the 11,000 that we're talking about, we had it set aside. We knew we were going to spend it, but I thought there was some reason that we hadn't done that yet, like whether it was confusion about whether the town should pay for it. I feel like there was some other discussion.
Marion, I'm quite positive the town was not gonna pay for it.
No, what happened, my recollection was that, you know, with the community grants, we had $70,000 and we had a lot of great things to put that towards. And we saw that this particular grant was something that we were definitely gonna do, but that we could kind of put it under a different category. And that we said, yes, the answer is yes, but it's, you know, not gonna be under the 70,000 community grant umbrella. We're gonna push it towards something else. And so, we all, you know, voted for it, yes, and we said we'd kind of approve it under a different kitty and another day. As far as exactly what category this is coming out of, it's unclear, but at the same time, we do have the funds for it, and it's, you know, John has all along been like, Beth, we are going to approve this.
I
So
think this comes out of.
Yeah, I think we all agreed we were gonna approve it. I just was trying to get my head around where we were at in the process today. So that's helpful. Thank you, Greta.
I'm also curious, you know, given unfortunately the book stock not happening, I assume that money is back. That
should
is,
be.
you know, unencumbered at this point.
Do we know if that even went out? I assume it was probably not paid out yet.
Imagine
No,
it-
I'm sure.
Some of it, I believe some has, but John was meeting with everybody over the last week. And so I think when he comes back, he's going to have a more of a fuller report for us to know, Greta, exactly where that lands, because I don't know if it's all of it.
I think it comes under the category of the John Spector accounting method.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and John's in London, so I'm sure that when he gets back, he'll have the ideal or perfect answer to these questions. But in the meantime, what we do know is the money is there, and that we should vote on approving it. So I would suggest we do the first one first.
Yeah. Motion to,
Who'd like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the grant for 11,500.
Second,
Second. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the 11,500. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There are no opposed. Motion passed. Okay, now if someone could make a motion about the $600.
Yeah.
Did everyone there vote?
Yeah.
Because you have to ask because they're on Zoom.
Right. Larry and Mike Green, you both said aye.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next one.
Motion to approve
$600.
$600 for the maintenance of Teagle's Landing.
second,
Motion been made and seconded to grant $600 to the maintenance of Teagle's Landing. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? None. Motion passed. Thank you all. Okay, what's next?
That's it. Adjourn.
That's it.
Wow.
Wow, we have an NCAA record.
And I guess that's all right. Motion to,
Yes,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Yeah, okay, this is Takis Hinaris. I don't know most of you, I know Ben, who's my neighbor here. So we are talking about the beautification of downtown. It's beautiful, that's great. But at the same time, I don't know how the committees work, but we bring friends all the time up to Woodstock, and everybody's surprised about the status of the Dr. Colburn building, which is really the ugliest place of downtown. Is there something that we can do about it? Because you can put whatever flowers you want, you can put whatever you want to beautify. This is ugly, and this is changing the whole look of downtown.
Dr. Colburn.
It's a great question, and you're
Chad,
not
let
the
me-
first to ask it, but I'm gonna let somebody else who knows more of the history answer that question.
I can give you a little bit more of the history since I've lived here for over 30 years. Well, when I first moved here, the place was called Bentley's.
Cabot's.
And it was owned by a couple of gentlemen who lived up in Pomfret. They sold it and it got conglomerated between a doctor, Dr. Coburn, in New York, and another gentleman in New York who's in the restaurant business, Ted Stern. It's a little bit unclear who owns what, but during all this, the interior was changed significantly, but the exterior was totally neglected. And it's up to the pub, and we have, as a community and as various boards, discussed ad nauseum what we could do to motivate the people to do something about their building. You have to remember, it's private property. There's not much, the town could insist on being done, if anything. And so we have talked to Ken Stern, we have discussed it with other, I mean, we have been talking, my personal opinion right now, it's the biggest embarrassment we have in town.
Thank you. That's I didn't want to say that, but thank you. Yes.
You cannot drive or walk through town without going by that disgusting building.
Yes.
You cannot. And something, yes, should be done. And I have been saying right along, let's do this, but it's still private property. And it's their decision what to be done about it. It would take an enormous amount of money, I believe, to restore it to an acceptable condition. Or acceptable to the art, anyway. And nobody yet, I mean, from what I understand, it's up for sale, but the prices are pretty exorbitant right now.
So there is hope.
That's what I can tell you.
Okay, maybe, okay.
Does anybody else have any other information?
Ordinance passed by the village changes building ordinance.
Yeah.
And they say they could give them like a $500 fine.
Well, I've often said that the only thing that's left is some sort of legislation, but it gets a little tricky. And I'm not sure if anybody's enthusiastic about taking that route.
The only other thing,
Yeah, would have to pass, you know, the town fathers have to do that, but right now, it's like, it's ugly, everybody knows it's ugly, it's an eyesore, to say the least, but it's private property. And there's not a lot. Larry, I don't know if you can jump in there, haven't been a lawyer. I guess not. But that's what I can tell you, Travis. Hope
So
that
I wanted to
Yeah.
add to that,
Yeah.
which is that
Yes, go ahead.
hi, good to meet you. In the conversations that we've had also, obviously there's so many things infrastructure wise that the town has to worry about right now. And with the money, the limited money that we have, we've kind of made a decision not to give to private businesses that it doesn't really affect and come back to the general community. We just don't have the money to do that, and it raises a lot of problems. Why this person and not that person? So it is an eyesore, and it's a shame, but it's not within this jurisdiction to say we're going to.
Okay, no, I understand that, but the point is that if you look at I'm not looking for funding, right? But the only, I mean, Joe just mentioned that briefly, the possibility of having some kind of legislation to force them to fix it. In other words, if you go to downtown by the Green, because we have some friends by the Green, for them to change their roof, they cannot do anything except the roof remains the way it was before, which is a wooden basically pieces for the roof. Why don't we force them with such a legislation to fix the building? Why don't we do the same thing in a similar way?
You know, I mean, this might be a good question to bring to Larry, and if you know, but my understanding is, you know, it's like, is there a carrot or a stick? And there is a stick, but it doesn't seem like the town wants to use it. And I don't know what the stick is, but I do believe there are some rules, but it's not being implemented. Is that right, Larry? You don't know? Okay, we don't know, but I believe there's something, but I don't know.
Okay, but thanks a lot. Thanks. Everybody's talking about it, so I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, hopefully at some point, sometime in the future, when some of the other issues that seem to be more pertinent and important to the town and the infrastructure and other things, we can get to the point where we say, okay, enough is enough. Let's do something about it. But I don't think we're there yet. I'd like to be there, but I don't think it's there yet. Anything else? Thank you for your comments. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. I think we set an NCAA record for the shortest EDC meeting.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Nice job, Joe.
Well done.
Not bad for a rookie.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Hey,